Hi guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a collab video with a friend and fellow YouTuber, Trini Cooking with Natasha. We both arranged to do a lasagna recipe together and we're both doing our versions. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. This is just a Trini-style version of lasagna. So we're both going to do our version. So go check hers out. I'll leave a link in the description box below. She has a lot of recipes and her food looks so amazing. So I hope you guys go check out her channel and I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. So these are all the ingredients you're gonna need to make this Trini-style lasagna. And here I have my meat. And you can use any type of ground meats that you want, or you can make this completely vegetarian. I'm using some ground turkey, about 2.6 pounds of ground turkey. And it's still a little bit frozen, so I'm leaving it to defrost. And then I'll show you guys how to season it up. And I have my lasagna here. I'm using the oven ready lasagna. This takes up much less time, so that's why I prefer to use this. If you can't find this in Trinidad, I usually get it at Massey stores or True Value. I know for sure they have it because that's where I usually get it when I'm in Trinidad. So I'm using 2 boxes of this. Try it. I think you guys will like this because it's much easier than having to boil the lasagna and then it's a mess trying to, not break it up when you're taking it out of the water. So this is a much easier way to go. And this might seem weird to you guys, but this is how my mom always makes her lasagna. She uses baigan or eggplant. So I have just 1 eggplant here because I'm using meat in it, so I don't want to use too much of the eggplant because the sauce is already going to be thick with the vegetables and the meat. So if you were going to do this fully vegetarian, then you can use 2 or 3 baigans depending on the size. So I just cut it into little pieces. I peeled it and it's in little chunks so that it's gonna melt, but it's not gonna melt completely. So all the exact measurements and stuff, I will leave it in the description box below. So I'll just list everything and then I'll put the correct measurements down below. I have pepper chopped, carrot diced into like semicircles and even smaller pieces as well. You can do it in chunks if you'd like it chunkier. I have celery chopped, red onion, and these 3 are going to be for the mirepoix. I have some garlic minced finely, some Italian flat leaf parsley that I chopped finely as well. I have 2 cans of water chestnuts. I love to add water chestnuts to my lasagna. And I usually just add 2 or 3 leaves of basil just to flavor up the meat sauce. If you don't have basil, it's totally fine. I have lots of mushrooms here. These are just fresh button mushrooms that I cut up into slices. 2 sweet peppers that I cut into chunks. Must have green seasoning. So I will have this linked in the info above. It's going to be in the top right hand corner of this video. And I have some Trinidad cheese, and for lasagna or macaroni pie, you must have Trini cheese. I also have some mozzarella. And for this, if you can't find this where you live, look for any type of light cheddar. This is also called New Zealand Cheddar. So if you don't get it under the name Trinidad cheese, then look for New Zealand Cheddar. Anytime you think of cheese in Trinidad, this is the cheese most people think of. We call it Trinidad cheese, but the real name is New Zealand Cheddar. So that's about it for the ingredients. If I forget anything, I will let you guys know. I also have tomato sauce. I'm going to use about 2 or 3 cans of this, depending on how much my sauce is coming up to. And I might use a little bit of ketchup too, because I love to put a little bit of ketchup in the sauce as well. So I'm going to wait for this meat to defrost or thaw out a little bit, and then I will come back and show you guys how to season it. So my turkey meat is completely defrosted now. I put it in the microwave on the defrost setting because it was taking too long. So to season it up now, I'm gonna use a little bit of salt. some fresh black pepper, a little bit of Italian seasoning. I'm not putting too much because since we're doing this Trini style, it's not gonna have too much of an Italian influence, because I'm gonna do another video on lasagna made with ricotta cheese. So just let that sit for about 30 minutes and then we'll start sauteing all our ingredients. And I kept back some of the seasoning for the sauce, so we'll add that later on. So I have my pot on medium-high heat and I'm gonna add some olive oil. You can add whatever type of oil you want to add. And to this I'm gonna add my mirepoix, which is onions, carrots and celery. And the mirepoix is the base for a lot of French cooking, and it usually consists of 1 part carrots, 1 part onion and 1 part celery. So after a minute your vegetables should be nice and tender. And now we're gonna add our seasoned turkey in. So you want to take your spoon and just mash the meat so that it doesn't cook in big chunks. So you see all the liquid that's coming out of the turkey, you want that to evaporate and you want to get a nice sear on the meat. And after it starts searing, then you want to take your potato masher and go in and kind of break down the meat further. So I'll come back when the water evaporates. And you can keep stirring it while it's evaporating, just so that you get all the moisture out. So once the water is evaporated and you start to hear that searing sound, I don't know if you could hear it. Now I'm going to take the masher and I'm just going to mash the meat. So once you've mashed it enough and it's really fine, I'm going to just transplant this, saute the vegetables and then I'll add it back. I'm going to use the same pot that I cooked the meat in to saute the vegetables, and then we'll add the meat back. I'm going to add a little bit of oil. You can add more olive oil or you can use whatever type of oil. So when your oil is nice and hot, add the pepper and the garlic. And just let it saute for about half of a minute. And then you want to add your sweet peppers, and the baigan or the eggplant. I'm going to add a little bit of water to the pot and I'm going to put it on medium heat. And we're going to cover it and let the baigan steam. So after about 10 minutes, your baigan will be fully cooked and it will be really nice and soft, and that's how you want it. Now I'm going to add my mushrooms in. I'm going to add the water chestnuts. This is what the water chestnut looks like. You can buy them whole and slice them, or they sell them sliced already. So make sure you wash the water out from the can, you drain it and then you wash it a few times. So the eggplant gives it a really delicious addition. It's like a mixture between eggplant parmesan and lasagna. But if you don't want to add the eggplant, then that's totally fine. I just love how it tastes. So this is going to cook further when I add the sauces. So I'm going to add the meat back in here and then we'll add our pasta sauce. add the 2 cans of tomato sauce here. See how chunky it is? This is how I love lasagna to be. Some people just like a really smooth sauce, and it's really good like that as well. I just prefer it chunky, so you guys can do it however you like. Like if you wanted, you could have cut the mushrooms really fine so that they break down into the sauce. I'm gonna add the parsley now and the basil. I'm just gonna break the basil up. This is just gonna give it a little additional flavor. My other lasagna recipe is gonna contain a lot more basil. I also like to add a little ketchup to this. The ketchup gives it a little sweet taste. And now you can taste it to see if it needs salt, pepper, anything else. And in my green seasoning, I'm gonna add a little bit of water to get all the seasonings out. And I'm gonna add this and then we'll let it simmer. So I'm gonna cover this and let it simmer for about 45 minutes to an hour. And you wanna keep checking it and stirring it to make sure it's good. And make sure you have your heat on medium-low, more towards the low side. And just cover it and let it do its thing. So my sauce has been cooking for about an hour and 15 minutes. And it tastes so perfect. I had to add a little bit of salt, and I added some pepper sauce as well. I added this Bertie's pepper sauce because I didn't want to add any more whole peppers. The pepper sauce is gonna kind of distribute evenly throughout the sauce. So this is perfect now. I'm gonna turn it off and then let's start layering our lasagna. And while I do this, I'm going to preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's start layering our lasagna. So you want to have a tray that's big enough to hold your lasagna. Now I'm gonna try to fit my entire one into this tray. I got this at the dollar store, 2 for $1, because I'm gonna throw this out when I'm finished, because when you cut into this, it's gonna cut the foil. But if you have a big tray good enough to fit your lasagna, then you can use that. So I'm just gonna rinse this out and I'll come back. So to spoon out the sauce, I like to use a ladle because it's just easier. So we're gonna do sauce, then pasta, then more sauce, and then cheese. So I'm gonna add a good amount of sauce. And try to separate your mixture into about 4 or 5 portions, depending on how big you're gonna do your lasagna. So once you add your sauce, you're gonna add your pasta, and it doesn't matter how you add it, it's gonna still taste delicious. So I'm gonna add another layer of meat sauce. Now we're gonna add the cheese. This is the Trini cheese, or the New Zealand Cheddar. So we're gonna do a layer of this, and we'll do a layer of mozzarella. You want to put another layer of pasta. My oven just finished preheating, so it's ready. I just finished layering the lasagna, and I have a little bit of sauce left back. Probably about 2 cups of sauce, meat sauce. So I'm gonna keep that to make another day. I'll make a small one, so I'm gonna freeze it in a Ziploc bag. But you want to make sure it's fully cool to room temperature and then freeze it. So I got 3 layers with mine. If you're using a deeper pan, then you can get more layers. But I only used 1 box. And because I'm using a foil tray, I'm gonna put this into a heavy bottom tray so that it stays sturdy in the oven and it doesn't fall apart when I'm trying to move it around. So my oven is finished preheating. I'm gonna put a layer of foil over the lasagna. So I'm gonna put this in the oven and I'll check you guys back in about 30 minutes. And at 30 minutes we'll take the foil off and let it cook for the next 15 to 20 minutes. So I took the foil off and I'm gonna put it back in to bake for about 10 to 15 minutes. So I left the lasagna in the oven for 10 minutes and I just took it out and it's perfect now. But I can't cut into it just yet, so I'm gonna leave it to cool and then I'll take a picture of it or a little video and show you guys how it looks when I cut into it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this really simple Trini lasagna recipe. This is just my version. This is not a authentic lasagna recipe. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I know people leave comments and they're gonna say this is not authentic, but this is just my version and how I like to make it. So I hope you guys enjoy it and I hope you try it out. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to leave any comments, leave them below. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to see all my latest videos. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!